CO Halito, this is just a quick impromptu live video, all that good-ish. All right, you are here with RRJ, the ancestral shapeshifter, the enigma solver. So this is in addition to my Enigma Solver Chronicles series. I have sporadic videos and lives where we look at current events, spirituality, religion, prophecies, manifestos, all of that, and questionable conspiracies. All right, so this is chess. They say it's chess, not fucking checkers, right? So it's a lot of stuff that's been going on for a long time, y'all. Y'all know this, right? So let's just dig into it. Now, a lot of people have had manifestos. You got the papal bull, you got the manifestos, you got prophecies, and you got questionable conspiracies. So, they say, in the streets or in the YouTube streets or social media streets that Babylon is falling. And if you know what these words mean, according to the script, the Biblios, the pseudepigrapha, the Bible, the Biblios script is a big movie playbook, right? And words in there mean certain things. You can, switch out the words, you can switch them up, you can do all of that, right? And you can look at different prophecies of different indigenous, aboriginal, prophecies, culture. You can just look at old writings and they speak on prophecies. You can look at the Hopi prophecies. You can look at your tribal nation prophecies. You can look at, the Abrahamic religion prophecies. You can look at the religions that predate Abrahamic religion. Look at their prophecies. So we're just going to examine a little bit. We're just going to examine a little bit, okay? All right. So we're going to look at this little lady. We're going to look at her real quick, but before we go there, hold on just a second. Let's just look at something. Okay, we're just going to look at this little overview. And I thought that it was interesting since, they've been speaking about Canada, right? Now, this is related to the Papal Bull, the one of June 18th, 1452. But let's just look down here. It says the doctrine of discovery has had a lasting impact on the history of Canada, where it led to the displacement of indigenous peoples and the seizure of their lands. In 2022, activists called the Pope to rescind the doctrine of discovery during his visits to Canada. Interesting, right? Because that's been in the news, right? About, him having negotiations with Canada, right? But um it's just it's just really interesting, right? And it's dealing with the new world and the golden dawn and all of these different things. So we go examine some periodic things, right? Because these are, you know, little things, right? We just gonna tap in real quick. Okay, so this is dealing with the Committee of 300. They say that this is a group of 300 entities that oversee what happens, you know, on this earth concerning the seven continents, right? And the happenings of the seven continents, right? So we're just going to look at this, right? The Committee of 300. Now, uh if you new to my channel, like back in the day when I first started my channel, I was doing like random videos, of course, with my spirituality readings and sessions and life path coaching type videos, sharing, herbs and recipes. And periodically, I was talking about um manifestos, prophecies, and conspiracies, questionable conspiracies, right? So, if you new to my channel or new to my social media, I've been on this shit for a minute, right? And for those that, can see it in a new light, even if you watch the John Wick series, it talks about the people above the table, right? These people, quote unquote, this committee of 300, so called, runs the happenings and events in this world, in this modern day world, right? So we're going to just look at this. And I'm just giving y'all some things to, look at for homework, right? For your own homework. Because I'm not going to be on here for a long time. I'm just doing a little preview. We can go in depth later. Make sure y'all tune in to me and my cuz podcast later. Um, Southeastern Talking Stick podcast. Uh, we deal with indigenous history and events and so much more. We have special guests and all that goodness, right? So that's my quick plug, for our podcast. But whoever been rocking with me since 13 for real, but my started my channel in 2016. I want to thank all my 2,100 and plus subscribers. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I've taken little breaks and shit periodically. I thank y'all for rocking with me. But this is a part of my Enigma Solver Chronicles series. But this is just something to research. Who is the Committee of 300? Now, with all of these things, these current events happening, so we're going to look at them. We also going to look at We're going to look at Alice Bailey. She's a part of the Lucis Trust. She breaks down, some prophecies and some things of that nature. And we're going to look at some Hopi prophecies. We're going to examine this, right? Now, you can compare this to your tribal nations or your people's prophecies, manifestos, or quote unquote questionable conspiracies, right? So this is homework. If you want to look at it, in depth, you can look at it. You can really look at it. All right. So one little thing is saying that the Hopi believe that the current world is the fourth, and that the previous three worlds ended in disaster. And if you saw my impromptu live yesterday, where I was dealing with I was examining the cycles of the universe, serpents, dragons, thunderbirds, dealing with several books, but there's one book that I have in particular that breaks down like events from the beginning to the current time and quote unquote the future events, right? I was examining uh some things and just sharing with y'all so y'all can do your own independent study, research for yourself, see what you come up with. That's what the Enigma Solver Chronicles is about. Us being enigma solvers together. We're going to examine old shit, some new shit, and some future shit. We're going to examine it, right? So this is, if you want to check out that live, I did that live yesterday, reading on a couple of things. So these are things we're going to look into. And we're even going to examine this shit, right? All right, so this is what we're going to look at. But let's look at the Hopi. Okay. All right. The Hopi believe that the current world will end in war or natural disaster if people do not change. The Hopi believe that the inventions and writings of white, quote unquote, Caucasian white people or Bahana violate natural law and threaten humanity. All right. Now, if you're new to my channel, I've been speaking on balance. Balance is key, is the key of the universe. Balance, 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 balance. And with me being a Libra, and with that raven, that gulana, and that crow, that guga energy, is speaking about balance. And also those animal spirits, actually bird spirits, actually talk about stepping outside of time. And I kind of touched on that yesterday. But basically, life out of balance. This is the shit, right? Okay. If we dig precious things from the land, we will invite disaster. All right. Near the day of purification, there will be cobwebs spun back and forth in the sky. A container of ashes might one day be thrown from the sky, which could burn the land and boil the oceans. That's interesting, right? It says, I mean, because people been doing this since since the colonizers came and they tried to take over shit and what do you call it? Extort the natural resources of the land. This is, you know, this is a consequence that could happen. It's saying a container of ashes might one day be thrown from the sky, which could burn and land and boil the oceans. All right. Okay. So this is coming from the Blue Star Kachina, right? In Frank Waters' writings on Hopi mythology, the Blue Star Kachina, or Sasquatch Soha, is a kachina or a spirit that will signify the coming of the beginning of the new world by appearing in the form of a blue star. The blue star kachina is said to be the ninth and the final sign before the day of purification. All right. Described as an apocalypse or a world engulfing cataclysm that will lead to the destruction of the world. If you watched my live yesterday, all of these cultures, they talk about the cycles of the universe is birth, life, death, rebirth, resurrection. All right. Transformation, transconfiguration, all of these words, but they all follow that same cycle: birth, life, death, rebirth. This is what happens, all right? And uh humans go through different cycles and different stages, all right? You go through that spring, summer, winter, spring, summer, autumn, then the fall, winter, all right? That's the same concept: birth, life, death, rebirth. So all of the prophecies follow that same motif that I've seen over and over again throughout all these years. I started looking into this shit since what? It was what, 2006 or 7. That's when I had left before then, but I had left Abrahamic religions and started on this journey of researching a lot of shit where I said I wanted to know the truth no matter what, no matter even if it goes against anything that I've been taught to believe. Now, I have been raised with some indigenous and Creole ways, but the majority was an Abrahamic religious view from Judeo Christianity. Now, before 2006, I had been getting like these downloads or these awakening moments. It was a tug of war, it was a struggle, but eventually I stepped forth into this journey, right? And I went back, I returned to my ancestors' spirituality and culture. And I have examined all of these questionable conspiracies and prophecies and manifestos. But this is just an overview, y'all. We can go in depth, another day, but this is just an overview because I got to rest before 6:30. So make sure y'all tune in at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to Southeastern Talking Stick Podcast. Also, be on the lookout for the spring. Me and my cousin are doing the mastress table talk. Those will be like once a month. It's mainly promoting our business ventures. Me with being a spiritualist, delving into Creole and indigenous practices, uh, life coaching, and spirituality sessions readings. So it's going to deal with that. And she does aesthetics. She's a esthetician. And we're going to do that like once a month. And it's mainly that platform is about promoting our business ventures. I deal mainly with spirituality, and she deals with uh, the outer beauty, the different things of your what people get, all these different things, like whether it's lashes, they get their makeup done, they get all these facials and all these different things that estheticians do. So be looking forward to that. That's going to be sometime in the late spring, and it's just to promote our business ventures. And we may have a video once a month. So these are things to look out for. We've already started working on it, and we put it on pause because, it's a lot of things going on, a lot of things that we have to do. But back to the lecture at hand. All right. With this Enigma Solver Chronicles, we're looking at the Hopi prophecies about the events that's going on today. All right. And it talked about the day of purification. All right. And y'all got an exclusive little peek. I didn't even really want to share that at this moment, but me and my cousin had already talked about this. This is for later in the spring, and like I said, it's to advertise our business ventures. But back to the lecture at hand. All right, talks about this prophecy, right? The day of purification. And they give book sources, book references, so don't sleep on Wikipedia for whoever want to hate. Get this fucking book if you want to look at it deeper. All right. The day of purification, described as an apocalypse or a world engulfing cataclysm. This will lead to the destruction of the world. So, after destruction comes resurrection, rebirth, just so you know. And it also talks about the destruction of an old way or an evil way, a destruction of evil ways, where it talks about basically from a biblical standpoint, Babylon has fallen. So, the destruction of the Babylon way of doing things with this burn Hollywood burn type thing. It's a message. It's um, a symbolic message in that this fire was going on in Hollywood, and a lot of the evil things that are attached to Hollywood. I'm not saying that everybody in Hollywood is evil, but y'all heard about the adrenochrome and all of the trafficking and all of that shit that was going on. So, in a sense, this is the burning, the destruction of that, and it represents the day of purification. All right. So, now, this guy, he investigated this prophecy and found no reference to it before the late 20th century. But anyway, the overview is, according to the Hopi legend, all right, At the beginning of time, the creator created his nephew, and I'm not going to butcher that name, Sotuknen, to construct places for life. Out of nothingness, created 9 universes or worlds, one of Taiwa, one for himself, and 7 others for additional life. The first 3 of these worlds, Tokpila, Tokpa, Kuskaruza, have already been inhabited and subsequently destroyed due to the corruption and wickedness of man. All right. Each time one of the worlds is destroyed, the faithful Hopi are taken underground and saved from destruction, or later emerge to later emerge and populate the new world. So a lot of different cultures have oral tradition stories about this, or prophecies about how um, the people are saved. They are spared. They go underground, or they are hidden in a sacred mound, stone pyramid, a mountain, a cave, underground. Mother Earth preserves the true people. All right. There are many prophecies about that, right? So, uh, now, okay. All right. Okay, they are taken underground and saved from the destruction to later emerge and populate the next world, according to these books, all right, which were written in the 1960s. The Hopis believe that humanity is currently residing in the fourth world, Tuwa Kwachi, all right, like the previous worlds. Tuwa Kwachi is also prophesied to be destroyed because of the corruption of humanity. All right. The final sign, the ninth and final sign of destruction, is described by White Feather via Waters as you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of the Hopi will cease. All right. This idea of the blue star Kachina marking the end of all Hopi rituals is reflected in Waters' books, the Book of the Hopi, in which he states the end of all Hopi ceremonialism will come when a Kachina removes his mask during a dance in the plaza before the uninitiated children. This absence of Hopi ceremonialism will coincide with the destruction of the fourth world. Waters suggested that World War III will begin and the United States will be ripped apart by war, leaving only the Hopis and their homeland intact. This is the Hopis' prophecy in their legends, all right? The war of the end of the world is described by Waters as a spiritual conflict with material matters. A spiritual conflict with material matters, right? According to the Hopi prophecy, as reported by Waters, shortly after the blue star Kachina is visible to all and the day of purification is realized, the true white brother will come to earth. This is really talking about, like, they name it this, but a lot of them talk about it should be light, like someone bearing a light, Light. Okay. Which was like a misconception with the Kukulkan and the Quetzalcoatl. This was a light being, Light. Okay, so don't get it twisted. All right, will come to earth in search of the Hopi who steadfastly adhere to their ancient teachings. So Learn your tribal nation's ancient teachings, the prophecies, the stories. Learn about them and learn to tap into your spiritual self, your first eye, so that you can see the sign of the times. You can see what's going on and prepare yourself and your family, right? The day of purification is up on us, so to speak, peoples. All right. Excuse me. So it's saying that it is said that the light brother falls in his or her mission and is unable to find uncorrupted men and women, that the earth will be completely destroyed and none will be spared. Now, there are stories about this. Even in several different religions, they say that everybody will be destroyed except them, because everybody feel that no, they religion got the truth. No, they religion got the truth. No, they religion got the truth. Us, all of this fighting amongst each other, when the book that I was reading on yesterday talks about that there is a worldwide, like, union type of thing, a worldwide sister and brotherhood that represents the light beings, that promote things that are healthy for humanity, things that promote unity within humanity, us, uh, all tribal nations coming together in some sort of way to make sure that the true peoples are flowing in, like, this moral code. And we have resources, we have land resources, we have food, water, shelter, things restored back to our peoples, right? So you'll find similar prophecies in different tribal nations. They'll just have different names, or they may highlight the female principle more, or they may highlight the father, the male principle more. You just, research, your family's prophecies, right? All right. And it also talks about however, if successful in bringing the symbols and finding those who still follow the true Hopi way of life. So it's just saying that if you following your bloodline, your ancestors' true way of life, the moral code of your ancestors, your indigenous ancestors, you following this moral code, you have this inner moral compass of doing the right thing for your peoples and humanity, then you're gonna be spared, right? The world will be created anew. There will be like um a new world, a new state of mind, a new moral, a renewed moral code. Things will be cleaned up, so to speak. Mother Nature will clean up things, so to speak. Even like with crops, like my mother's family, they had their own land. Uh, they didn't leave their land; they stayed with their land, and they did like burn the crops. Um, they did a lot of stuff to promote fresh new soil. Getting the soil right so that they can have good crops, right? They had all kind of crops, from, yeah, you name it. They had the staples like beans, squash. I don't know if they had corn. I'm pretty sure they did, but I'll have to ask my mother. But they had pecan trees, pecan trees. They had all kind of crops, right? Their land had rich soil that produced healthy crops. and they were prosperous. My family is prosperous. So, all right. So it's just saying that the world will be created anew, and all the faithful will be saved from destruction. And in this case, it's saying all the faithful is just talking about, it's talking about being faithful to your ancestors' traditions and moral code, basically. The moral code, your inner moral compass. Okay. So, yeah. So that's just an overview of the Hopi prophecies, all right, with the blue star Kachina. And shout out also to the big head scientists. I just used to love your cartoons. You need to bring that shit back. I know you probably feel like, you done did enough, but I just love your cartoons, and you even did one about the Libras, the ancient librarians of the Akashic records. That will be me. But you did one about the blue and the red Kachina. Let me I'm gonna pull that up real quick just to show y'all real quick. You need to have some more videos. And it talks about the seven thunders, right? Um, this is just a critique of this, but y'all can look at this on your own. The seven thunders, the red and the blue Kachina, the Yamasi, the Washita, the Shoshone Star Nation. I love his videos. Like, he makes it fun, and like where you just like, it takes you there. It kind of takes you on like this medicine journey, or this misnomer shamanic journey. It takes you there to where you tap into this. All right. And um the southwestern tribes are connected. Some of them did travel to the southeast. Just look at the migration patterns and stories of your tribal nation. But I love this, and y'all need to watch it. And this is for educational purposes only. Um, but it has the the closed captions on here, and I love it. I love it. Whenever I see stuff that's represented by prophecy, I mean, I've been into this for a long time. Um, but y'all can check this out. The Big Headed Scientist. He got a lot of good videos, and it taps into different melanated cultures, spirituality, and religious systems. It taps into those. And if y'all watch my live yesterday and some of the previous ones, it talks about there is basically a worldwide sister and brotherhood that represents the upliftment of humanity. And yeah, y'all can check this out on your own time. But this is the Blue Star Kachina. All right. Let's see. And y'all can just check this out. Our ancestors looked, this is why they built observatories, to look at shit, to examine what's happening in the cosmic events, because things that are happening in the cosmos happen on the earth plane. It's mirrored here. That's where you get that quote unquote little saying that says, on earth as it is in heaven, or as above so below. But things are also happening underground, in the underworld. Okay. So this just breaks down, some of the things that's going on. And I'm just trying to compare it to these other manifestos and these questionable conspiracies, right? Um just a second. Let me pull up this other one. Um okay. So it says that the Hopi are believed to be the descendants of the ancestral Puebloans, also known as the Anasazi, right? All right. The ancient civilization that lived in the American Southwest for 1000 BC to 1300 AD. They are considered one of the most advanced ancient civilizations. The ancestral, excuse me, Pe- Puebloans built large complexes with many rooms, and some of their dwellings were cliff houses. They left their villages around 1300 AD, possibly due to a long drought. The Hopi, a Pueblo tribe that migrated north to Arizona in the 12th century, the Hopi called the ancestral Puebloans Hissa Sinam, which means ancient people. The Hopi are known for their unique agricultural practice of dry farming, which relies on water retentive tillage methods instead of irrigation. All right. So that's specialty on how to survive like in a drought, so to speak. So you can, you know, take some lessons from the notes of the Hopi, all right? Other Pueblo tribes, there are also thought to be descendants of the ancestral Puebloans, including the Zuni. All right, the Pueblo are a group of Native Americans who lived in northern Arizona and New Mexico. They still follow many of the Anasazi beliefs. All right, now the riddles. Now, yesterday, if y'all watched my live and any other lives, I always talk about enigmas and riddles and parables and allegorical stories. You gotta decipher them. And now sometimes when they do articles like this, they kind of like trying to figure out everything about a people's or a culture. So they say it's a riddle. Even shit that they say about the XI, the she, the Omek, the misnomer Omek. They say, it's an enigma. And, and a lot of times they say shit like that when they don't want the world to know or make public things about them. Um, but but this is just something you can look at. This was in Chaco Canyon in western New Mexico, which was the cultural center of the Anasazi homeland, right? So you can look at their prophecies. And what I was talking about yesterday about the four corners, the four seasons, the four directions, uh, these four cycles. A lot of things are patterned after that same shit, right? So y'all can look at that. All right. So I just wanted to give like an indigenous foundation to this, and then show y'all what the other people have been up to, right? The other people. like these motherfuckers that with the doctrine of discovery, we did touch on that. And all right, Alice Bailey, she's a part of the Lucis Trust. Her and the Blavatsky chick. Y'all can look at some of their little prophecies, which they did a lot of reading, and they talked to some people to get some of this information, and they wrote it in their own little manifestos and they little agendas and all of that, right? So they talk about this, I'm gonna say this, every culture, every people's, every tribal nation, peoples have several Christ-like energies, several saviors, several messiahs, people that rise up and lead the people to do the right fucking thing and show the people how to do the right thing, right? So it's not just one. Okay, we got to get out of that. There are going to be many messengers of liberation. But the one thing that I wanted to look at was this shit right here. All right. So this Alice Bailey chick, this is what she was talking about, right? And okay, the destruction of the current Kali Yuga civilization is likely to be completed within a small window of time between 2025 and 2040 due to the combination of global wars and cosmic impacts. All right, these are the end times that the ancient prophecies warned us about when the apocalyptic events described in the eschatological texts, all right, will be fulfilled and our reality will be drastically altered or changed, right? So this is some shit, right? And from the book that I read from yesterday, talks about different cycles. They rounded it up to a 26,000 year cycle. This talks about a 25,800 year cycle, right? So it's just showing you the cycle, right? All right, so y'all get a good look at that, right? Now, all right. Okay, so we're going to jump down here because this Alice Bailey chick, her and what's her name? Her teacher. They learned a lot from melanated spiritual people. And then they put it in books and things for, pale people, right? So, all right, it says the year 2025 has been specifically mentioned by the Theosophist Alice Bailey in some of her writings nearly a century ago as being a herald period, blah blah blah, of impending transformation. She wrote like 24 books for the theosophical and society and esoteric subjects. All right. Now, like I said, she got some of her game from melanated melanated nations throughout the 7 continents. She got her stuff from melanated tribal nations throughout the earth. All right. Like I said, just so y'all know. And yeah, her teacher was Helena Blavatsky, right? Now, they talk about this coming avatar, and they always talk about like a one savior, like the Christ and the Antichrist. In many cultures of peoples, there are many leaders. All right. There are many leaders that encourage the people to do the right thing by their people and by humanity, to do humane things, right? So there are many Christs, there are many Messiahs, there are many saviors that rise up amongst different tribal nations throughout the 7 continents to show people the right way, to encourage people to do the right thing, right? So don't just be looking for one. I just want y'all to get out of that shit, right? And read up on these different prophecies and questionable conspiracies, they little manifestos, right? And so, all right. So I'm gonna skip around a little bit. This was written between 1919 and 1949, and they say that they had tapped in. They was channeling some shit. They, got these telepathically transmitted, right, by a Tibetan master, right? So yeah, they give credit to this Tibetan master. So it's talking about the coming of an avatar. You yourself are an avatar. You're a spiritual being in this human suit, and you're having this human experience, right? So you can just look at this little prophecy, right? But it's just talking about she described the avatar as an extraplanetary avatar who will accomplish his purpose without taking a mortal form. So I'm not even going to read all this. I just want y'all to, have some little homework where y'all can look at the shit yourself. But don't be looking for one, right? Because there are many throughout the 7 continents that are going to rise up and help the people. My thing is, you want to be a leader and not a follower. This is the thing. But I understand that everybody is not built to be a leader. But you have to tap into your own people's prophecies and use your first eye and use sound judgment on the humane things that you should do. And it's a time and a place to defend yourself. Self-defense, your people's defense, all of that. Spiritually, mentally, and physically. There's a time and a place for everything. And so this stuff, you got to read through this shit. You got to be able to examine this shit like X-ray fucking vision with the shit. Because a lot of people in Abrahamic religions are looking for one being to like save the world, right? But it's a collective throughout the 7 continents of people that's going to save the world, right? It's a collective. It's going to be many leaders that's going to be on the same page of preserving life and humanity and for the earth to heal and be restored. That way we have, healthy crops, healthy food. We have, the necessities, clean air, clean water, clean food, uh, shelter that is, is gonna sustain the test of time. It's gonna be stable to, shield the people, and spiritual, mental, and physical weapons for defense, things of that nature. So, don't just be looking for it to be one thing, one person, or one entity. This is where they suck you in with that Christ and Antichrist thing. There are many Christs, there are many Antichrists. All right. You just gotta research your people's prophecies and things of that nature, y'all. So I'm not gonna get long-winded with that shit. But it just talks about all these different prophecies. And dealing with okay, it talks about they speculate with these dates now. It talks about recognizing we are divine souls that the gods described in many ancient traditions as the guardians of human civilization. All right. All right. It talks about there is a sacred obligation to act in accordance with a divine plan, which is to live in peace and harmony and to progressively purify our consciousness by following the ancient wisdom teachings. All right. And they are saying if you are unable to do this by 2025, it's going to be some catastrophic events and things that happen that's going to sweep over the earth, right? So it's just basically saying that, excuse me, in essence, do your shadow work, get your shit together on the evil shit about yourself that you gotta work on, and have a moral code, a moral compass, a moral code. And it's a time for everything. Yes, the goal is to have peace and harmony, but you're gonna have to ride for that. You're gonna have to ride for that in some kind of way. So the goal is, yes, to have peace and harmony, but you gonna be ready if you gotta defend yourself or your people have to defend itself as a whole. It's gonna have to be, like that, right? um so, and some of these people, they pose under these little umbrellas like, yes, we want peace and harmony, but they want to cause all these cataclysmic, these engineered cataclysmic events so that people can be in unity. But there are going to be some people that are going to exploit that unity. Like having, you know, fucked up leaders coming with all these new rules and shit. So there are gonna be people to exploit the peace and unity shit. There are gonna people that raise up to exploit that shit. Just so you know. So it's always light and darkness. It's always gonna be those it's the what they call it, the dance of the opposites, or it's always going to be the light and dark, the positive and the negative. But there is a balance point. They don't focus on balance is key. Having balance. It's a time to flow in the light shit. It's a time to flow in the dark shit. So you just be the decipher of the times. You follow your first eye and decipher when, where, and how you're going to be flowing and operating, right? So I would encourage y'all to look at Ethiopian texts, Hindustan texts, because Hindustan used to be a part of Ethiopia. Hindustan is what they call India today. So you want to look at Ethiopian ancient writings that are in Aramaic that have been translated. You want to look at them. You want to look at Hindustan people from India, which is, like I said, a part of northeastern Ethiopia. You want to look at those writings. You want to look at you want to research ancient melanated cultures, their writings, because on all 7 continents it was melanated people who were the original people on all 7 continents, right? So you want to go as far back in history as you can go and look at their prophecies, their sacred texts. You especially want to look at the ones that are connected to your bloodlines, your family's culture, spirituality and culture, bloodline, your genealogy. You want to look at those, but you want to look at these prophecies and see how they line up. What do they have in common? Because see, I look at the similarities and the parallels. And this guy that I used to watch, his name was, I think it was Santos or Fibonacci or some shit that he called himself. But he like brought some things home with me when I was looking at syncretism, how things are in sync. All of these different melanated spiritualities and cultures, they have similar things in common. All right. They have a lot of things in common. Just look at their prophecies and see they're going to be talking about the same shit. And it's just the imagery is going to look like melanated people. The imagery is going to look like melanated people, and they have a moral compass, things that are good for humanity, right? So y'all, this is just some little homework y'all can just check out or whatever. uh all these spiritualities and cultures and religions, they have stories about, you know, the end of days, the end of time, these apocalyptic events, blah blah blah. So at the end of the day, it's about having a inner moral compass. It's gonna be a time you're gonna flow in the light shit, and then it's gonna be a time when you're gonna have to self-defend and flow in some dark shit. That's it's the sun and the moon type energy, right? Uh and I would say the Venus energy is like the balance point. It's looking like the balance point in a lot of cultures that I have studied, and their writings I have studied throughout the years. I have a lot of shit in the archives of my brain, and sometimes I can't just pull it up real fast and real quick because I've filed it away into archives of my brain. But some of that stuff is starting to reemerge. So this has been prompting me to do some of these videos, and then these current events have been sparking, you know, me to do these impromptu videos. But y'all can check out all these prophecies. Y'all can check them out and see how they relate to your people, and what's going on with your people, you know. This was, you know, what we had delved into yesterday, the cycle of the phoenix. So y'all can check out those videos. I've been on here an hour. I'm about to charge up my laptop, get me something to eat, and take me a nap, and get ready for later on tonight. So make sure y'all check out my partnership podcast channel, Southeastern Talking Stick Podcast with my cuz. Y'all check us out. We are the co-hosts of that podcast, representing feminine and male energy, powerful feminine and male energy, right? It's representing balance, that fire and that air energy, that air and that fire energy. So y'all just check us out. We talk about indigenous information, history, uh, current events. We have special guests, so check us out and stay tuned in the future for Master's Table Talk podcast with my cousin. So yeah. So y'all just check out the things in 2025, quote unquote, so to say. And y'all have a good day. I love y'all. Peace.